Gina Carano was a Disney star. She was supposed to be in Lucasfilm's production, it'd be the Star Wars guy. She was supposed to be in George Lucas's production of Mandalorian. Am I saying that right? She's like a former serious MMA fighter and all this stuff. And so she had this big part and they took it away from her. She's alleging because she didn't subscribe to the whole pronoun thing. Right? And you can't do that, apparently. If you're a Disney employee, you gotta buy into that. And if you don't, well, then you are canceled. End of story. This is what Gina says happened to her. She actually went on to Tucker's show to talk about it. And I want you to hear what she's saying. It's not fair, it's not right. But here, in Gina's words.
Hashtag trans rights, and I wouldn't put my pronouns in. They kept on it pressuring, and finally I just said, I'm not doing this.
So she wouldn't put her pronouns on her Twitter account, and she got fired. Listen, Elon Musk has already said anybody that wants to come forward with these kinds of issues that has been fired, if you've been fired unfairly, unjustly, because you wouldn't subscribe to a certain, ideology that they want you to have, then he's your guy. All right, he's your guy. And so now Gina has announced that she is filing suit against the Disney Corporation. And she's got Elon's backing. So I think this is going to be kind of entertaining to watch. Because, well, it's Elon. And it's a little bit personal. Because don't forget Bob Iger, he's the guy that said no more advertising on Twitter. Forgive me, X, formerly known as Twitter. Bob's like, okay, we're not going to advertise there anymore. He's like, why are you singling X out? There's plenty of other platforms that you could single out. Why are you singling X out? You're trying to destroy X, Bob? He let him have it. He let him have it at a recent conference. Here he is doing an interview with DealBook and CNBC. Just watch.
Advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you then.
Okay, you heard that. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience, from Elon. It was directed at Bob Iger, who Gina Carano is now effectively suing. Well, he's the CEO of the company. So she's suing Disney and the Lucasfilm division. She announced this. It's happening in California's federal court. And Elon's backing it because, of course, he's pledged to finance any of these lawsuits from people who say they were discriminated against by their employer because of their statements that they made on social media. She writes in a statement, Gina Carano does, that Disney also defamed her, she alleges, by, quote, mischaracterizing her social media posts and her character, resulting in the loss of her agent and her attorney, as well as future employment opportunities. I mean, they really they dug in, right? She writes, quote, we rely on our leaders and people in positions of power to be just, cool-headed, and steady-handed, and to be able to listen to all sides of the story, keep the peace, and act justly. Yeah, good luck with that, Gina. Good luck with that. However, she goes on, quote, some of us have just been unjustly singled out, harassed, persecuted, and had our livelihoods stripped away because we dared to encourage conversation, asked questions, and refused to go along with the mob. She lost her job, allegedly, over this. Yeah, and there's another interesting plot twist here because the company that wants to be so woke and so special and this, that, and the other, they got the 7 dwarfs that are no longer dwarfs, Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, but it's just Snow White now. The remake, well, they managed somehow to single-handedly, just in one easy swoop, totally alienate the dwarf community because it's no longer dwarfs. I mean, they had like 7 tall people and you know, all kinds of genders and, you know, gosh, no, I don't know what the pronouns were. Like, you're putting me on the spot now. Okay. So Rachel Zegler, who you may or may not know, this is the woman who's going to be Snow White. She was allegedly, per some of the scuttlebutt online, kind of instrumental in some of this. Don't forget, you know, she was whining and stuff back when she was in West Side Story because I don't think she got invited to the big award ceremony, et cetera, et cetera. And she started accumulating more and more of a voice, and she was all over the pronoun stuff, like you know, champion of the pronoun stuff. So she started tweeting out a few things. Let's go to those tweets where she says, like, this is just the right thing to do. You have to choose your pronouns, and don't you ever make fun of pronouns. You see, I guess that was Gina's fault. She dared to make fun of the pronouns. And as Rachel says, you don't do that. No, you do not do that. Let's watch Gina again. I think, what was it? Beep, bop, boop. I love it.
Hashtag trans rights, and I wouldn't put my pronouns in. Like, they kept on it pressuring, and finally I just said, I'm not doing this.
So again, I think ultimately she went with bebop boop or something like that. And she brought on everyone's wrath. And Disney was like, see ya, bye-bye. But not only did they do the see ya, bye-bye thing, but then they kind of used her as an example. And she says, therefore, defamed her by mischaracterizing her. In other words, she just was like, let me ask some questions. So Disney is getting sued here. Let me quote from another part of this. Disney bullied Ms. Carano. This is what her lawyer is saying, trying to force her to conform to their views about cultural and political issues. And when that bullying failed, they fired her. Punishing employees for their speech on political or social issues is illegal under California law. I love it. I hope she gets a massive payday. You know, they're going to say, well, this is like the E. Jean Carroll thing with Reid Hoffman because he's from LinkedIn. He's got lots of money and deep pockets. And no, you know what? That's not this. It's very different. First of all, she's not suing a person. She's suing a corporation. And she's also not suing somebody who's going to possibly be the Republican nominee for president. So it's entirely different. I mean, granted, it helps to have a benefactor, but I think this issue cuts really deep, really, really deep with Elon Musk. I mean, one of the reasons he bought X, don't forget, was because he was concerned about people's inability to express their opinions. So she took it on the chin for this. She was in a whole lot of trouble. Her career has not been able to really succeed. I mean, I guess she has a little bit of a space in the conservative media. I know that Ben Shapiro's team, I think they picked her up and she's doing a movie with them, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to where she was heading and the trajectory she was on at Disney. And because she's not willing to say or label herself with pronouns, her career is over. I mean, how is that fair? It's not fair, ladies and gentlemen. So this kind of stuff, I'll tell you, it has to end.